No, their understanding of it. They look like supporting each other. I remember once a very sensitive bureaucrat was recounting to me his total confusion when negotiating a deal with the Nagas. And this was in Nehru's time. He said, we who came from Delhi didn't know how to respond to it. They said, how can this be land be India when our parents are buried there? Now that's an answer no serious bureaucrat expects to hear or combat. But that's the way people think. That's the way people think. We could have had a language in which that also could have been accommodated, because that answer could be given by any part of India. In the heart of hearts, everybody feels that. Okay. But so the traditional way it was handled was this, that when it comes to defending your countries, you thought of a larger entity, then you were trying to defend the rights of your community or sub-community or sect also. This is the way India has survived. And often many of these things intersected. When Wali Khan was arrested for sedition in Pakistan, he had the courage to stand up in the court and say that I have been a Pakistani, it was some years ago, I have been a Pakistani for 45 years and I have been a Muslim for 1400 years and I have been a Pathan for 5000 years. So my priority is when to use what? As simple as that. People know. You don't have to teach them.
Listen, the question of identity has never been an issue for me. There was a fantastic Iranian musician, composer, Hamid Dabashi, who lived most of his life in France, and he was a composer, he composed music. And once somebody asked him, "You're Iranian, how come your music doesn't have any trace of Iranian music in it?" And he said, "A cow, when he eats grass is green. When milk is not green, milk is white. It goes through his digestive system and becomes a different color." I sit here, I was born to a devout Shi'i Muslim mother, a devout Mossadegh committed national, anti-colonial nationalist 3 weeks of the month, and the 4th week of the month, because he ran out of money and he didn't have his vodka to drink with his food, my father became a staunch Nasserite socialist. 3 weeks anti-colonial nationalist, 4th week national. And they lived together and they had a perfectly fantastic life, had 3 sons. My first name is Arabic, my last name is Sanskrit, Persian is my mother tongue, and up until this moment I'm perfectly sane and together and don't feel any sense of conflict or anything. Lebanon has been a home to me and my wife for many years. To this day I have no idea, my Lebanese friends, are they Christian, are they Sunni, are they Shi'i? Nor does it matter, nor is it the issue. But to them it's perfectly important factor, who they are and what they are. So identity, I think, has become a false sort of political issue. And in normal circumstances, we are who we are. I'm perfectly happy with it, and we move on. After 9/11, I found myself to be far more adamant in New York about my being a Muslim, because Muslims are under attack in New York. But that's a particular circumstance. Apropos the question of the students, one of the key propositions that I make about the Arab Spring and the transformation of the euphoria, revolutionary euphoria, is the first is the formation of labor unions, second women's rights organizations, and I immediately add student assemblies, because of generational issues. It's not the application of the question of youth, but generational. And also because there is certain habitat of our thinking that we become accustomed to, that we need a young perspective, a fresh perspective, to become critically positive vis-a-vis where we are. And so far as philosophy is concerned, the reason that cinema comes immediately to my mind, because we are in an ocular-centric society. Everything is in visuality. And I gave the example of sort of a face of a president or a terrorist, etc., representing a vast civilization, culture, nation. And then cinema complicates it. But philosophy needs a far more, comfortable and a space for us to talk about philosophy. Of course, Iran has a rich, fantastic philosophy, integral to Islamic philosophy until recently. Later on, encounter with European philosophy. Conversations, for example, that Professor Nandy has had with leading Iranian intellectuals, Dariush Shaidan, Rami Jahanbegloo, etc. Different kind of philosophical speculations that we need to have. But even more urgently today, the kinds of conversations that we need today to do for the articulations of a new regime of knowledge that needs to correspond with the changing political regime, so we don't assimilate backward. So it's not just fetishizing philosophical traditions we have fortunately inherited, but to enable those philosophical traditions are to enable us to put our ears to the ground of these groundbreaking revolutionary movements, and not to assimilate them backwards into, in Syria there are sectarian things between the Shiites and the Alawites and this and that, but begin to hear other sounds, other voices that are emerging and are crucial. That is, our philosophical traditions have to enable us for philosophizing and not just be the transmitter of those philosophy, which is a perfectly legitimate.
If I may add one sentence before Mohan Gopal closes the thing, I would say that as a law, is vis-a-vis your question about emotional life of that state, one principle probably holds almost as a, namely that if you are more secure in your identity, you will experiment more with other identities and will be easier with other identities. If you are insecure, if your own fate is becoming wobbly in your identity, then you will be more defensive about it and more aggressive.
Thank you very much. But before we close, can I just request each of the professors to have one last word, and then, not in response to a question, but from your side, a last word, and then we close.
No, I think this is good enough.
Okay. Last word from Professor Dabashi.
I hope this will not be my last word
This evening.
I have a lot to say. I very much enjoyed my conversation with Ashish. I look forward to many more conversations. And I'm happy that the concept of youth has been, as we say in New York, problematized.
Yes.
So.
Well, we'll take you on your word that this will not be your last word. And we hope to have you here in Delhi again with us, because you are one of us. And as Professor Nandy is with us, you will also be with us. It's been an extraordinarily rich and stimulating encounter with a wonderful set of ideas arranged by, I won't say youth, but recently born. The recently born, with these two great professors, and the recently born are well represented here. And so thank you very much for your presence, and all that remains now is to express our appreciation for the two professors by a warm round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I hope you can do this more.